faces from every nation. I wanna find a place that's for conversation, where they discuss all the latest movies, or when something big happens in the news. See, that's us, what are we talking about? So what are we talking about today?
Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of the What Are We Talking About podcast. I'm your host, Cody McLean. Thank you for joining me. Today, I'm going to just give my review of American Gods. I know last episode I said that I was going to be reviewing Three Body Problem, but that review should already be online on the channel by now, so you can just watch that review by itself. But yeah, I'm going to talk about American Gods because I finished that book and I just want to talk about it. So Neil Gaiman is the author, and the only other thing I've read by him is actually a graphic novel called Marvel 1602. I might have talked about it before, where it basically takes a bunch of characters from the Marvel universe and transports them to Victorian era England, and it just tells a story from that perspective. And it's an incredible story, and it takes characters that you know and love and brings them into a new light, basically. But this does a similar thing, not necessarily characters you know and love, but it takes something you know and changes what you think about it. Basically, okay, I'll quickly tell you my thoughts without spoiling anything. First of all, it's really well written. Neil Gaiman's an incredible author. He's the creator of Sandman and stuff too. My only issue is there's a section in the book called Coming to America, which happens a few times in the book, and it's good. But the only issue is the other stuff is so much better that whenever I hit that Coming to America section, it just kind of like I'm revved up and listening, and this I listened to it on Audible, and this is just awesome, and then all of a sudden it just completely changes to like Coming to America story, and it's fine, but it just is jarring and a little bit almost out of place. It's not necessarily out of place, but it kind of switches your focus and almost makes it so that you're like you get invested right away, right as soon as it starts doing the other stuff. At least I did when I was listening to it, because I listened to it quick, like it goes by quick enough that I'm all like basically what ended up happening was the whole time during the Coming to America segments, I found myself just waiting. Oh, I can't wait until I get back to listening to the main story, all that stuff. So that's my only kind of negative. But overall, I think that it's an incredible job of basically what it does is takes the idea of gods and changes what you think about it. So now I'll just overall tell you my thoughts. I decided that I'm going to start rating things, and I have a new form of rating, and it's basically I have out of 3. 1 means it's not good. 2 means it's good, and in terms of movies, it's good, but you don't need to see it in theaters. And then 3 out of 3 is, of course, see it in theaters, or get this book right now, you need to read this book, or whatever. Video games, same thing, right? So I'm going to give American Gods actually a 2 out of 3. Actually, yeah, I'll give it a 2 out of 3 because of those segments where it kind of takes you out of it a little bit. But I thoroughly, like, it's on the high end of a 2 out of 3. I would even give it a 2.5, even though I don't want to do decimals. Actually, fuck it. 2.5 out of 3. 2.8 out of 3. It's fucking good. I'll give it a 3 out of 3. Fuck it. This book is amazing. Check this book out. Read it. If you haven't read it, now I'm going to start talking about spoilers, so maybe stop listening. And thanks for listening/watching. But now I'm going to talk about spoilers. If you have read this book, let me know your thoughts in the comments, because like I just said, I loved this book, and it draws you in right from the beginning, and it's a little bit mysterious, where there's characters introduced where you have an idea of maybe what they're about, and then things change, and there's twists and turns, and at the end, there's multiple twists that I didn't see coming. The biggest one would be at the very end when it turned out, I forget what his name is, Hindelman or something like that, is the guy who has been killing all these people, and he's actually a god as well. Like that, I should have seen it coming, but I didn't even see it coming. But overall, the characters that I liked the most were obviously Shadow. Mr. Wednesday was pretty good, but I liked the character of forget his name. The Leprechaun. I always forget his name. But he was a good character. I liked him. And then, of course, until he died, and that sucked. But the character that I hated them, like, from the beginning of the book, I just hated this character. And then by the end of the book, I was almost like, okay, they've redeemed themselves. And it's Laura, I think her name's Laura, Shadow's dead wife, who basically, you never meet her while she's alive. You hear stories and whatever, but she basically, yeah, starting when she died sucking his best friend's dick, that's something that's like, and I don't know, like, I think cheating is something that's fucking just one of the worst things you can do. Just be an adult and fucking tell the other person in the relationship that you don't want to be in the relationship anymore. If they're, unless they're, yeah, anyways, just, they're a human being. Just fucking tell them. I'm sure they'd probably appreciate that more than getting cheated on. But then as the story progressed, slowly she was basically just, like, she was regretted it, which, like, in a way, it's almost an unforgivable act, but it's not, because it is only just cheating on someone. It's not like she killed someone or anything like that. So in the end, she did prove herself to be faithful to Shadow. So she was almost redeemed in the sense that, like, in the end, she basically, she killed Loki for him. And, like, there's a lot of shit she actually ended up doing. She saved him multiple times and whatnot. And so her character is actually one of the ones that actually had one of the bigger arcs, even though she was dead pretty much the whole time that she was in the book. And I don't know, it was a very interesting, you know, way to have a character go through an arc, is in death. Like, that's it's a unique way of doing it. But to me, I personally really enjoyed the way that they sprinkled all these gods in and the way that they made them and represented them. Like, Odin, I kind of figured right away. What my Logan was told me a bunch about the book beforehand, and he kind of gave away a little more than I would have liked, but whatever. He didn't spoil anything major or anything. But so I knew Mr. Wednesday was Odin, like, right away. Plus the name Mr. Wednesday. Wednesday got its name because it originally was Odin's Day, just like Thursday originally was Thor's Day. And the reason why it, like, it's almost obvious is when Mr. Wednesday is talking to Shadow and he says basically, like, something about, my name's Wednesday, today is my day, or whatever, because it is Wednesday when they're talking. And then he says, with the weather outside, because it's thunder and lightning, it seems like it should almost be tomorrow or whatever. Maybe he says Thursday, whatever, because basically he's referencing Thor. And maybe if I didn't already know that Mr. Wednesday was Odin, I wouldn't have picked up on that. But it seems super obvious to me, knowing that going in. And I don't know, they did a really good job of kind of layering the characters, and, like, you didn't really, I mean, my problem was, like, I did know that a lot going in, so there was some stuff that I kind of could see coming that would have been cool surprises. Like, I knew that his girlfriend died while blowing his best friend, like, shit like that. There's a couple things, so those weren't surprises to me, but it still was interesting hearing how they were put in the book, because it's not like Logan straight up explained it's not like he recited the fucking pages to me. So I knew what happened, but I didn't know how everything happened and stuff. And so it was still an interesting read. And overall, yeah, like, I just love this book, and it's hard to put into words because I have so many thoughts in my mind jumbling around. So I'm just going to kind of go through it step by step. In the beginning, when they introduced Loki, that's something that I kind of thought might happen, but then I thought Loki was going to kind of be behind it, but I never put two and two together that Mr. World was Loki, which is weird because clearly Mr. World was the, like, leader of group or whatever, right? But they introduce Loki in the beginning, and they introduce him, Shadow, while he's in prison and stuff. And they do a really good job of basically setting up the character of Shadow and who he is and what he does, and how the way he made it through prison was basically just keep your head down, don't fuck with anybody, don't, like, basically do your time and get out. That's what he did, and that's a good way to do it. Because there's an issue with prisons in the sense that there's some people that when you go to prison, you have to you become more of a hardened criminal to survive while in prison, right? And it seems like Shadow did a good job of basically bettering himself, keeping out of trouble, that sort of thing. And it really goes to show us who the character is. And then when he gets out of prison, he's kind of that same thing. He keeps his promises. He is a reliable guy. Like, they're basically, you know that who he is just by the beginning of the book. And he does go through changes. He evolves in the end, and he becomes more, like, he cares more at the end. Because at the beginning, it's almost to the point where he's, like, stay out of people's business so much so that, like, it's almost like, don't even care about other people. And then he makes this deal with Mr. Wednesday and goes on and is working for him for a while. And at first, he just doesn't really care about that much. And then by the end of it, he cares more about all the gods than he ever cared about things in the beginning, right? And he literally sacrifices himself. He accepts death at one point. Like, he goes through a lot of changes, but yeah, like, he still in the end feels like it. He basically, he changes, but he doesn't, in a way where he still feels like going forward, he's not going to be, like, he's still going to kind of just do his time on this earth and then get out, kind of a thing. That seems like what it's going to be, but he still does seem more, not lighthearted, but kind of lighthearted or whatever, right? Like, he seems like he has changed in terms of opening up and allowing people into his life. And he literally kept the promise of letting some dude crush his head with a sledgehammer, but the guy basically changed his mind and only just, like, touched him with it. But overall, I keep saying overall, like I'm summing up, but I'm not done. The whole segment in the small town was, like, really cool. I don't know. I really want this. Okay, I want this to be a movie, but I also kind of would think that it would be cooler to be a TV series, because there's so much in the book, and I would be disappointed if most of that stuff didn't get in the movie, right? And if it's a 2.5-hour movie, you can't just have everything from the book in it, or even a 3-hour movie. Like, they had to turn the final Harry Potter book into 2 movies, and it still didn't have everything, and it wasn't even the longest Harry Potter book. So that's always the issue when making a book into a film. So whenever I think about it, I'm always more leaning towards making it into a TV series, or like a Netflix series, or even just like a HBO miniseries, whatever. Like, I think that could be done really well, and it could do justice to the exploration of all the regular Earth and, like, these god-like spiritual worlds and all the different places they go to, the house on the rock, and there was that one house on the hill that basically didn't really exist or whatever, and then there's the center of America, and, like, there's all these different places that they go to that would be really cool to see put to a screen. And you can't do justice to all of everything that's in this book in 2.5 hours or 3 hours. I think you need more like 10, 12, 13 hours, something like that. Like, a season of Daredevil would be a better length of time to tell the American God story than a movie. Because the thing that would end up happening is either they would have to take all of them, like, they would have to somehow strain it down so that they could get the essence of the book and put it in 2.5 hours or 3 hours. Or they would have to somehow make a movie that is like the first third of or quarter of the book, and then somehow make it so that the story ends, so that they can then make a second installment and a third installment, or whatever, third, fourth, whatever, in order to fully do the American Gods story. They couldn't just do it in one movie. You'd have to either do it in multiple movies, and you can't just decide off the bat, oh, I'm going to make a trilogy of movies, because what if the first one just bombs? That's going to be a horrible idea. Nobody's going to go see the second one. You'll basically have just wasted more and more money. So it's way better, excuse me, to do a TV series based on this material, because you can actually do justice and spend some actual time with these characters and in this world, which is something that I think is the best part about reading this, is you really feel enveloped in this world and you feel like it's real. They do a really good job of basically explaining how the gods work, and how all the gods that you've ever heard of are real, but they're only real because people believe in them. And then those are the old gods. And now there's these new gods that are basically created inadvertently through human nature, through habit forming. People go home, sit down in front of the TV, watch TV every single day. They're basically worshiping the television set, and it evolves to a point where there's now a god of television. There's a god of the internet. There's all these different new gods that, even like, say, Easter. I think Easter's an old god. There's some things that don't fully make sense, but Easter's an old god, but she is falling into the problems of some new gods, where basically Easter used to be about the resurrection of Jesus Christ, I believe. Or whatever. And now it's more about chocolate, Cadbury cream eggs, rabbits. So Easter has kind of morphed and evolved into this parody of itself, and it causes the goddess of Easter to become, chunkier. She's still being able to receive sustenance from the worship of Easter, but it causes her, it's the wrong type of worship. Instead of them worshiping her properly, they're worshiping in the wrong way, or worshiping the wrong things, and it's causing her to it's the equivalent of only eating the fat trimmings of, instead of eating the steak, she's just eating the trimming. So yeah, she's getting food, but it's not good food. And so it causes different thing, it changes her even appearance. Like, that's the cool thing about these gods, is that they're basically physical manifestations of what people believe. And I think it's a really interesting way of having gods and explaining gods and whatever. Because, this may upset some people. I personally I don't have a belief that there is a god or there isn't a god. I don't know. And I think it's interesting that so many religions have gods that are in the sky. And to me, that kind of points to maybe, what is the reason for that? And it's probably not, but it could be, oh, look, something came from the sky, whether it could have been a meteor that caused something that they thought was godlike. It could have even been there could have been life that came from another planet, highly unlikely, but possible. And if that's the case, if they were more advanced than humans of the time, humans would have seen them as gods, in the same way that in the Thor movie, humans think that the Asgardians are gods, but they're not. They're just aliens with super advanced technology. So there's that. But in this version, it's a little mystical, but it's also more realistic, in the sense that it's mystical because, yeah, the gods aren't born. They just are. They just manifest out of nothing. Because people believe, then they're just there. And so, Thor isn't actually Odin's son. Odin is called the Allfather, but he's not the father of other gods. It's just that's just what people believe. And there's a really important thing in this book where they say the center of America is on this dude's pig farm or whatever it was. I believe it's a pig farm. And then, but he didn't want the pole and the tourist site to be on his land, so they moved it 2 miles north. And Shadow says, well, shouldn't we be meeting at the farm? And they're like, well, no, because the center of America is where people believe it is. The power of belief is the ultimate power in this book. And I think that's a really interesting thing where it's also true. We only consider things facts when enough people believe them to be true. At one point, most of the world believed their religious text of that general area to be true, not just like they believe it's the actual word of God. And according to this, if you believe something hard enough, it's true, and then that's why there is God and Jesus in this book and whatever, right? But basically, that's how it works even today with science. Did you test and check to see why a plane flies? No, that's knowledge that's been passed down from generation to generation, and we technically believe it to be true. Technically, we don't know if anything is real. There's no way of proving that anything is actually real. You could be a figment of my imagination right now, or I could be a figment of your imagination. There's no way of proving it otherwise. It's just more sane to believe the other way, so that life is real because we believe it is. And I think that this book does an incredible job of presenting that metaphor in this fantastical way. And overall, I just love this book. And like I slowly made my way to, this is a 3 out of 3. I highly recommend checking it out. If you have not read this book yet, I kind of have spoiled the whole thing, but fucking read it anyways. It's an amazing book. And if you have read this book, like I said earlier, let me know your thoughts in the comments down below, because I would love to know some other people's thoughts on this book. Do you think it should be made into a movie, or do you think it should be made into a TV series, or do you think this was actually just a shit book and I'm losing my mind? Let me know. I don't know. There's nothing else really that I want to talk about, so I'll move on to the reading, watching, playing for this section, or for this episode, sorry. Now, I talked a little earlier, and I plugged my review for The Three Body Problem. Starting probably either after I'm done this or tomorrow, I'm going to be starting listening to The Dark Forest by Cixin Liu. I don't know how to pronounce the name. I probably butchered it. It's the sequel. There's 3 books in the trilogy, but I don't know if the third one is out yet, or it might be coming out later this year, or it came out last year. I'm not sure. But I'll definitely be starting The Dark Forest soon, and I'll let you guys know about it in the next podcast. Probably next podcast will be about Finding Dory. It comes out this weekend, so that's another thing I'll be reading, watching, or playing. So yeah, also let me know, are you guys excited to see Finding Dory? It comes out this weekend. My only skepticism with Finding Dory is the Minions effect, and I don't know if you know what I mean by that. And what I mean is, Minions were possibly the best part about Despicable Me and Despicable Me 2. And so Illumination Studios was like, fuck, let's just make a Minions movie. If they're what everyone loves, let's just make a movie about the Minions. And I didn't see the movie, but from the reviews I read, it wasn't a good movie. Did not make as much money as Despicable Me 2. So what the fear of that is you take a side character like the Minions, which is a really good side character, and you make them the main focal point of a movie. Sometimes it doesn't work out, and that is my fear with Finding Dory, because I love the first Finding Nemo. Like, it's one of the few movies I've actually gone back to in theaters just to see it in 3D when they re-released it. There's Finding Dory, Jurassic Park, and then I went and saw episode 1 in 3D just with the hopes that if enough people went to see it, I'd get to see episode 4, 5, and 6 in 3D in the theaters. But of course that didn't happen because Disney bought Lucasfilm. But yeah, I want to know, what do you guys think about Finding Dory? Do you think that's going to happen, where because Dory was a great side character, But do you think you could spend a whole movie with her as the main character? Maybe they won't fall into that because you'll still have Marlin, you'll still have Nemo, and there's all this other supporting cast of sea life and characters that will be able to add to it. Because that's the thing. It was Finding Nemo, but really, who was the main character, Nemo or Marlin? It's hard to tell. They share a similar amount of screen time. So if they do a similar thing with that, and it's not just Dory the whole movie, I think they can succeed. I trust in Pixar. I'm excited to see it. I'm going to see it tomorrow. But yeah, let me know what you guys think. Are you going to see Finding Dory? Do you even care about this sequel? But yeah, again, American Gods. Let me know what your thoughts on that are. Have you read it? Have not read it? And yeah, that's going to be it for this episode. Thanks for watching. Thanks for joining me. Basically, if you want, you can either comment, whether you're on SoundCloud or watching this on YouTube, or if you're listening on iTunes, you could just tweet at us. You could tweet to my personal Twitter account, @WinterTrooper. You could tweet to us at just the show, What Are We Talking About, @WhatWeTalking. You could tweet, I also have Instagram, Snapchat, and then we have an Instagram for the show. It's not updated super often, but sometimes. If you don't have Twitter and you still want to get a hold of us, you could, or if you have a suggestion for a show that you want us to do or something that you want us to talk about, just email us. The email will be down here, just whatwetalkingabouttoday@gmail.com. And that's pretty much it. If you want, you can use hashtag WAWTAPod, and it will just, I look up that before I do a show, so that would help get your tweet on the show or whatever, help get your comments to me. But yeah, that's pretty much it. You can like us on Facebook, follow us on SoundCloud, subscribe to us on YouTube and iTunes, and rate and review, all that good stuff if you want. If not, just thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. It helps out just having people watch. But the most important thing is let me know your thoughts on everything that I talk about, because I love to have conversations with people. So let me know in the comments section below. And until next time, never stop being a god.